This 0.6 nicotine. It's a lot of nicotine. I come from a land down under, where women glow and men chunder. Can't you hear the thunder? You better run, you better take cover. What was that video I just made about?
I honestly don't remember.
Me neither.
You were talking about cycles that people go through.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Host Eric has a menstrual cycle. Menstrual. How do you spell menstrual? Menstrual with an A. Cycle. I know what the title is. Menstrual cycles cause typology mishaps. But menstruation causes. Menstruation causes MBTI socionics mistypings? Mark exclamation point. This video is about how cycles can cause typological confusion. Typological confusion. Ooh, that sounds moist. Where romp hormones, there be disarray. I think that's a fair sentence. Unforgettable, your menstrual cycle. Menstrual cycles are unforgettable. Menstrual cycles are lots of fun for you. Thank you, thank you. If you like menstrual cycles like me, you're going to love New Menstrual Cycle Weekly. It is a magazine devoted to menstrual cycles, menstruating, menstruation, and having a period. My newest endeavor as a YouTube maker is to take seriously women's issues. Today, we're talking menstruation, ladies. We're talking menstruation. There's blood pouring out of your coochie. What do? Anybody? A little help here, please? I'm asking my audience of ladies out there, let's get serious. Let's talk menstruation. Tell me, ladies, what's it like? You there. Tell me your name. I'm Marianne. Hi, Marianne. Tell us about your menstruation story. Well, around 13 or 14 years old, every month, blood started coming out of my vagina. And I was like, what the fuck is this? And my mom said, well, that's just normal. So ever since then, I'm like, every month, it comes right out of there. Well, I feel you, Marianne. I feel you, dog, because I don't have that exact experience with my menstrual cycle. I don't have the vagina and the whole blood coming out of it part, but I do have the corresponding emotions. How about you, ma'am? Julie, you say your name is? No, I didn't tell you my name yet. Well, what is your name, stupid bitch? My name's Julie. See, I told you. That's why I had to call you a stupid bitch, because that is your name. Okay, fair enough. So yeah, at some point in my childhood, I realized that instead of having a penis like a normal person, I've got a vagina. And then a little while after that, blood started coming out of it every month. I see. Well, that's a great and important contribution to our story here today, Julie. I appreciate your chiming in. You're welcome. I didn't say thank you, though, okay? I know, but appreciate is almost the same. Okay, fine. You win that one. That brings to a close this episode of Menstruation Weekly. It'll be a new feature here on Talking with People. We're enjoying a lot of menstruation-related talk with all the ladies in attendance. And we're learning about vaginas, about blood, about which comes out of which. So, and when. You know, it matters. Check first. Make sure there's nothing coming out of there. You don't want to get up all in that shit when there's blood coming out of there. So check on that and be smart. Don't get blood on your penis. Thanks for watching Talk with Space, people. And don't get blood on your penis.
Don't get blood on your cheese.
I was not recording any of that, but the wrong room was recording it, fortunately. Good stuff. Menstruation Weekly. It's like, damn, Eric, that's so good. You should do that constantly. Well, I was trying to record that other thing because it wasn't actually about menstruation. And then why is it private? It says public. Yeah. I don't know what to put here. There, that's fine. Public. Talking with Tennis People, host Eric here. Welcome and salutations to all. I'm here with Liz, with Neptune, Casual INTP, Blanky, the bot, and of course myself, the aforementioned and about 4 days there. Today I'd like to talk about differentiations in personality over the course of a cycle, over the course of a lifetime, something like that. And these are variations within an individual type or individual human being rather than representative of a type necessarily. For me, it's quite pronounced. Obviously, I have a cycle of personality that relates to my prescription. Hi, David. Welcome back to Menstruation Weekly. We are talking menstruation today.
Are you really actually talking about menstruation?
Yes, I am.
Like legit bleeding out vagina menstruation?
Legit.
Why? Is your girlfriend PMSing?
Host Eric here again. We're back on Menstruation Weekly. An exciting segment in which we talk menstruation, we talk menstrual cycles, we talk how to menstruate, we talk where's the blood, where it comes from, why it's there, what it does, how important it is. It's all about menstruation here on Menstruation Weekly. We've got special guest and menstruator, host she.
Thank you.
You are, in fact, can we confirm this? You are, in fact, a human who menstruates. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah. I
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen, from the proverbial horse's mouth, as they say. Now, I am also a person who has a menstrual cycle, so I want to compare notes with you. For my menstrual cycle, I have varying degrees of moistness. My moistness gets extremely high during my time of the month, as they say, my visit from Aunt Moisture, as they say. And then I get much less moist once she leaves. And I'm mostly not moist the rest of the month, and I get kind of moist towards the end. So it gets close, it gets kind of weird. Now, does that correspond with your experience of your own menstrual cycle?
Well, it does to some degree. You know, I'd like to say that in anticipation of my monthly visitor, I would like to say that that's usually where my the moistness levels are heightened. You know, but when she's here, I'm kind of more relaxed.
A rumor.
Maybe a little tired. Okay.
I heard a rumor that blood comes out of your vagina. Is it true?
You know, it's not exactly blood, I don't think. I haven't looked over the details of what actually happens in quite a while, but it's your uterine wall, I believe. It's the lining of the wall that's shedding. It's not exactly blood.
See, my uterine wall must be a little different. I don't have that experience exactly. I don't know if I had something wrong with my uterine wall or if something wrong with your uterine wall. It sounds more like something wrong with your uterine wall, frankly, because mine doesn't come out like that. But regardless, how's your prostate? You're pretty young. I'm sure it's fine. You'll be fine for another 10 years or so, I'm sure. Anyway, if you, like me, and my guest here experience a menstrual cycle, I want you to do one of two things. Number one, check your vagina every day for blood. If there's blood there, it's a sure sign you got a menstrual cycle or a serious problem. Either way, it would be good to know. Number two, if you do have a menstrual cycle, like me, remind others that when you are being especially moist, that you just need to take more speed. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to eat plenty of cheese. That will also help. Okay, done with that video. You're not the first person I interviewed about their menstrual cycle. Two other previous visitors who sounded like my generic female voice were here being interviewed before you got here. I just had other males in the room. I actually did a serious video on the topic of typing and how personality changes over time. So let's talk actually a little bit more about that. And the reason I got on the whole cycle thing was because Kimberly noted a distinct change in me when I started taking Addy yesterday. And others have noted such a change before, but not always. Different people experience it a little differently. She described it as suddenly becoming much more detached. Do you guys observe changes in me over the course of the cycle?
What cycle?
My menstrual cycle.
It's hard to say that because I don't interact with you like regularly necessarily, but I have noticed in the past that when you, like the last time you had started taking your Adderall again, like you were like really, really, really fighty. Like you were getting in some sort of like debate or something on the Raw channel, or I mean in here, and you were really, really uppity. I'm like, oh, that his Adderall must be kicking in.
I feel calmer now. I just started taking it yesterday, you know. But I still feel hyped up and stuff, but I feel calmer And I think Taylor's right about the fact that physical things have more of an impact on my metaphysical being than I think. Like, I think I'm calmer for reasons, not just because, like, oh, well, I'm relaxed because I'm in a relationship or something. I think there's definitely a component of a physical body thing that needs to be attended to that I will sometimes ignore and I never think of to explain anything. Like the last explanation I think of is, well, there's something regarding my body at issue. It's like, that's not important. That's not relevant to anything. But it is. But I don't really think of it as being relevant. Oh.
Yeah, I've come to that conclusion as well. Well, with the fact that like physiological things do impact like your mood much more than you really think about. Like, I'll be having like a really rough day. Actually, this is in link to the whole menstruation thing. Sometimes I may not be necessarily aware of what part of the month it is, or and then I'm like, oh wait, this is why I feel so shitty. Okay. Well, now I can like chill out a little bit, but it's like, this is just fucking crazy how much something happening with your body is affecting you psychologically.
Right.
So
I remember when Delilah was maybe 15 or 16, she started acting super weird one day, and I'd be like, what? Delilah? At first, I'd argue with her like normal, and instead of being normal and rational like normal, she'd be all like stubborn and unreasonable. And I'd be like, Delilah, what the fuck is wrong with you? And she'd start crying. She'd be like, I'm PMS, I'm going to say my period. I'd be like, oh, that's crazy. That's crazy. It's like, oh, you're irrational. You're irrational because of this thing. And you know why. But the thing is, intuitives aren't accustomed to accounting for that shit because we're stuck in our heads all the time. Mm-hmm. So it's especially frustrating, I bet, for intuitives whenever that kind of shit takes over.
Yeah, for sure.
It's then that we need to play Social Security, the game that teaches values. Did you see Social Security? Do you know? I'm going to show it to you.
Hang on, what was that? Did you see Social Security?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Blanky here has a topic. He says, let's see what it is.
Okay, let's look at this topic. You see, this game has some serious advantages to a lot of games. It's entertaining, enlightening, non-competitive, non-threatening. And it's for ages 6 to 106. It's fun. I played it the other day with some people on this channel. It was a lot of fun. Well, for example, you might land on the sharing table where you get to share something.
So Blanky here wants to know how type could change over time once an individual gets older. Are you meaning like what their development looks like? I don't believe that a person like necessarily changes in type. For example, I've had many older. Okay. Chinese and blind. That's the most PTI. Who's doing that?
You're mine if I want it. Okay, let's see. Hi, friends. Host Eric here with host She, aka J to the Nizel. And we've got a blankie in attendance who's blanking it up with a question about the changing of type over time. So, first, let's make distinction between different ways that might be meant. First, you might say, oh, I used to be an ENTP, but now I've changed into an INTP. That's one possible way to mean it. Another possible way to mean it is I'm changing my expression of ENTP-ishness based on changes due to metacognition, which I think is another thing entirely, right? So addressing the first thing, I don't think a person's type changes over time. I think if you're an ENTP at 6 or 7 years old, then you're an ENTP for the rest of your life. And I think it's unavoidably so because they're habitual manners of attention, and you can't really change that. You can prioritize some over the other. You can get in the habit of being aware more of ones that you're not habitually conscious of. You can certainly be aware of how other people's manners of attention and habits of attention relate to your own, but you're unlikely to be able to change what was habituated into your hardware, basically. You're that kind of machine. Once you've set your type, it means you're defaulting to NE. For me, I can try to minimize that. I can try to maximize. I can do things with it, but it's still the same kind of machine. The machine, it's like I've revved up its unbalanced aspect to the detriment of the other half of the unbalanced aspect. So my NESI is more unbalanced than most ENTPs. Every ENTP's NESI is unbalanced, and they're all inversely proportional. Mine is way, way, way more NE and way, way, way less SI than most ENTPs. This past week or two has been way more SI for me, and as a consequence, I've been around here a lot less. But the reason I don't think you change type, as I said, is that when you have a default state of being, it's nearly impossible for you to conceive of what it would be like to be in a different default unless something really traumatic happens. Like when my dog died, I shifted into SI mode for about a week. That's all I did was SI stuff. It helped me to SI and FI. The FI was involuntary. I didn't understand it. It just hurt like hell. And I just SI'd my way through it. It was the only tool I had, and it was an emergency. And I found it was natural to do. It was like I settled right into, okay, I know how to do this. I know how to fix this. I got to SI the shit out of myself. I really pamper myself, take care of myself, which means a lot of times working on in my environment. It's not necessarily easy street or whatever. So, in that manner, you can change type over time, and I think that everybody individuates into their own ergonomically fit spread of manners of attention in certain circumstances, and the extent to which they're engaged in active discourse about it, like this, having conversations about asking questions and listening to me, blah, 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 and then taking whatever pieces of that you find useful and incorporating them into your own understanding of things, and or engaging in the process of rejecting parts of it by making argumentation. That's even more powerful way to change your own thinking and mind as well to the betterment of both. So, regardless, it's engaging in the discourse that is the process-oriented thing that matters. It's the engine of the process that makes one optimize rather than de-optimize or settle into a rut or something. Now, granted, the optimization is going to be largely metaphysical for a certain period of time. I think to the extent that it needs to manifest as changes in the physical world, it will do so as critical mass develops. So if you're somebody who really needs to take some sort of action that you're not doing, eventually enough, it'll start coming up in your discourse, and it'll, like Barry was saying about the TWFP hive mind, tends to seize upon real problems or real things that might have real world manifestations and throw a lot of mental energy at them. Not necessarily a lot of physical world energy, but all that mental energy can produce weirdly significant things. For example, me talking about Magic Sky Friend produced Barry showing me how to turn on auto subtitle it, like, because it's the first step of Magic Sky Friend. Now, there's a lot of incidental stuff that goes along with the fact there's auto subtitling, but most importantly, it makes it conceivable that we might download all those text files and somehow cross-index and then allow for a parametric search of this variety that I imagine as a stage of Magic Sky Friend. But we'd have to have some sort of an app that was able to distinguish between people, though. So it could say who's doing the speaking. What are we talking about?
We're talking about how a chain or how a type
Any thoughts?
develops over time. I was just going to ask if you knew of, or if you could like compare. So this person is wanting to know like how a type would look when they're significantly older, so like 55 plus. Like, do you know of a certain type that is like older
I think
versus one that's super young, and like the differences they have?
Different types display aging differently and in predictable ways. I think it's a good question. I think like my ISFJ mom, she tended towards, when she was younger, she was more adventurous. As she got older, she got less and less adventurous. She got less and less comfortable with change and newness and became more and more locked into her SI and gradually fell into some mental ruts. And I think that's why she's mentally deteriorating. Whereas my dad with TE first is not, because he's continued to present himself with various problems to effectively solve. And most of all, like sort of the family estate kind of a shit, you know? So I think that ISFJs and ISTJs will go downhill earlier, will stop growing sooner. And I think once a human mind stops growing, it basically starts dying. My dad is still doing shit like solving issues, you know. He's still growing in a way. He's kind of stagnated in a lot of his thinking, but he's got a real problem on his hands, which is mom's going downhill, and he's got to make sure that he shows her how much he loves her and appreciates her, which is exactly what he's doing. He's got this sort of like bucket list thing they're going on doing, and it's really sad to talk about. Anyway, he's doing what Dad has always done, which is he shows he cares about you by making shit happen and making sure everything's taken care of. And he's doing that for Mom. And Mom was a big part of keeping all the shit together and doing all the paperwork and stuff. But my dad always was a big part of it too. But, you know, he's shifting all that burden onto himself now, and it's fine because he's got nothing else to do, you know. And I don't know where I'm going with that. He hasn't changed much over time in a lot of ways. He's exactly the same as he was. Although he's mellowed for sure. He was very angry when I was little. I remember him being a very angry figure in my life. But not truly scary. He never hit me, and never threatened to hit me, and almost always apologized after he got mad at me. Sometime, son, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have yelled at you like that. It's okay, Dad. I'd already forgotten about it because I'm an ENTP. I don't hold grudges. It didn't really matter that much to me. But what did matter to me was his habit of apologizing. And my mom did the same thing. And so I learned that as well, that you have to be responsible when you're at fault for something like that by stepping up and going, I'm sorry I did that. So it's something I still do today. Like the Chinese lady at the walnut place. It took me a couple weeks to finally really get around to it, but I did eventually apologize for yelling at her that one time that I yelled at her when I should have been yelling at her boss. And I was yelling at the wrong lady, and she totally didn't deserve that. And so, anyway, I apologize for it. I don't know, like last week or something. Because you should. I don't know, because I was raised like that. Both my parents did that. Both of them were exceedingly fair in everything they did with me. They heard all my arguments. If I was right, they tried to agree with me. It's a weird childhood because I was dealing with reasonable people, which I've discovered out in the world is not always the case. Anyway, I've changed a lot over time because, again, I've mellowed like my dad has. I think a lot of types mellow if they're kind of fighty types. ESTJ certainly is. My dad's super competitive, and you start to have more empathy and sympathy and other things like that. I gotta care this, Kimberly. Hello, give me a second. I was in the middle of making a video, but just give me 1 second. Thanks for watching Talking Spanish, people. Don't forget to eat plenty of cheese, and sorry to be abrupt in cutting this off, but I need to have this conversation. I gotta go to work pretty soon anyway. Bye. All right. Thanks for being here, guys. See you later.
I thought he was going to tell her to wait until we finish the video.
Yeah, right. I doubt it. He saw the smile on his face when his phone started ringing.
I didn't notice that. I just, from the way he said it, he was like, oh, I was recording videos, like he's going to say wait 5 minutes or something. But then the cheese part came in.
Oh, the INTJ does hold grudges. That's no surprise. INTJs, when you get on their shit list, man, it's really hard to get off that shit list.
How about INFJs?
I think INFJs, well, they're much more understanding as far as feelings go, but I think they have a threshold that, I mean, they'll still treat you like a human being, but they just won't associate themselves with you. I just don't think they're as, like, harsh about it necessarily. I don't know.
How do INTJs hold grudges?
Well,
David, do you know an INTJ or something?
Yeah.
Right.
My brother. He's either ENTJ or INTJ. I think he's more INTJ. I don't know. I go back and forth with it, but like he intimidates me because his FI third slot, he's very passionate and he's all about character and certain ways you should be or how you should treat people. And he's not very understanding otherwise. He's worked a lot to try to be, but it doesn't come naturally to him. So if you're not treating him like he treats people or how he thinks that they should be treated, he gets really upset about that. Like I've been in conversations with him and where, like, say we're talking about like interacting with someone, like trying to build a relationship with them, and then you just all of a sudden stop talking to them. like I told him I do that sometimes where I completely ghost a person and I just ignore every text or whatever from them. He like freaked out on me. He's like, the worst thing is not knowing anything. Like that is so bad. Like he just like totally freaked out. And I actually thought it was kind of comical that he was getting so upset about this. It's like, I mean, obviously, if a person's not responding to you, probably because they don't like you. So I mean, I find it annoying when it happens to me, but like, I don't get as upset about it because I'm like, I can figure it out in my head that, okay, this person probably doesn't like me. Or, I mean, there is a small chance that maybe they're dead. I don't know, but I don't know. I guess I don't let it bother me as much. But
All right.
there's stuff like that happens. I've been on his shit list before because I fucked with his plans. You fuck with his plans, that pisses him off. He does not like, I've tried to go at things in sort of like a TI way where like I kind of see my own, try and work through my own understanding of something. And he like he just gives this look and I like immediately stop. I'm like, okay, he's not receptive of this at all. Okay, I'm going to stop now. I'm not going to talk about this. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm on this shit list right now, but I don't know if that's necessarily the case. That lack of FE, man, holy shit. It's like not, it's like just not accommodating. Like it's so weird. And maybe INTPs do this as well. It's not like with greeting people. Like he'll like come out of his room, not even like say bye or anything. Like I'm right there as he's like walking out the door, and I'll be like, okay, bye, see you later, you know. But he wouldn't think to do that. He'd just walk out the door without saying like bye or anything. Like it's so weird to me. Like I don't know. Sorry, I just kind of went like rambling, but
I don't know if INTPs do that.
okay.
Depends.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm not
I just
talking about you, Magnus. You're Eastern European. It's like you're. Where are you from, by the way, Magnus? I'm just saying Eastern European.
I'm from Denmark,
Chicken leg.
Scandinavia.
Your voice sound kind of like Counter-Strike Russian.
That could be. Could be.
could be. I feel like INTJs, when they want to hold a grudge, they'll just completely withhold themselves from you, you know? And
Just ignore.
they, what?
They'll just ignore you.
Yes, like, I don't know.
It's
It's
really
just really
weird.
harsh. Really
I
harsh.
think I have an INTJ friend, and it's really weird because I know I've pissed him off when he doesn't talk to me. Like, I'll write him, and he won't answer me for like 2 weeks. And suddenly he'll just, start writing me again.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I also do that, so I don't know.
Yeah,
if
yeah, I guess, yeah.
No, even the
It could be
thing,
both things.
even the thing that David keeps saying about INTJs, I do that. So
Well,
I
there's
don't
a
know.
difference between rejecting someone like via text and rejecting someone when they're in your physical environment. Do you think an INTP would be able to do that just as well?
Nah.
Yeah. So I felt like once, because the thing was is we had like some sort of rental agreement and where he would cut the rent down if I helped like make meals for him and stuff because he was very busy with physical training and his job. So that was one way I could help. It benefited us both, but like I was going through like a series of like really bad depression and stuff, and that whole having that expectation of that on me from him, like was just putting a lot of pressure on me. And I was like, I just told him abruptly. I didn't really give him much warning. I was like, I can't do this. I'm sorry. I can't. This is just stressing me out. I've got enough to worry about. I need like the mental space to be able to think about other things. And so once that happened, once I wasn't helping him directly, the relationship completely switched. Before he was interacting with me and my kids, and he would say hi to us, he would spend time with us. But once that happened, like interaction was completely cut off. It was like almost as if since I wasn't helping him, he didn't feel like he needed to be a part of my life necessarily. So that really sucks. So it seems like if they can't utilize you in some way, they kind of just don't really care to give you time, I guess.
Mm.
So, in person, I don't think I do that.
Yeah, I don't initiate conversation very much either.
I think I have enough FE to like kind of just roll with it in person, and usually I don't hold grudges, so I'll never be mad at people directly, you know. Maybe I'll find somebody annoying, but it's whatever, right? Like I don't have to ruin it for everybody just because like I think 1 out of the 5 people in the group is an idiot, right? I don't know.
Yeah, but that's not my understanding of holding grudge. I think,
I know. I'm just
Oh.
talking about like FE or whatever, right?
all right.
That
Yeah,
like
still,
I'll value the group over the the individual statement and just ignoring somebody or
yeah. Or ignore him in a way that will make the group even more like, yeah, for the sake of the group. You know what I mean?
mm.
Like ignore him in a very visible way that will make everybody notice. And
Also,
they start laughing at the situation or something.
I can express my distaste for someone if the opportunity presents itself, but like if I am in a group and I have to interact with them, like, I'm going to set that aside. I'm going to put myself at a distance, but I'm still going to be able to interact with them in a peaceful manner. I might not like it, but I can still do that. I don't think that, I don't know. It just is better for everyone else when you can kind of set aside differences, and I don't know.
Yeah, and afterward tell people, why did you invite that person?
Afterwards, tell people that you didn't like that person? Is that what you said?
Yeah, you go to one friend or something that, hey
Yeah.
man, why did you invite that man? I don't. We don't get along. Why did you invite him? Or
Yeah.
something like that.
but I
Yeah.
would say, casual, regards to grudges and stuff, I would say that I've cut people in my life if I thought they were like dangerous for my mental health. If I if I can say it in that way, you know, like they're actually dangerous for my environment, basically. Like if you continually do something to, I guess, make me feel bad or whatever.
I see what you mean.
Yo, what's good?
What's new with you, Kato?
We out here.
Oh, you wanted to talk about the eighth function and the role function, how you use it in your life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's start with you. How do you see SE? Or are you you're still unsure? Are you still trying to figure that out? Are you back to ENTP? Are you still thinking ESTP? Or
I'm pretty sure ENTP.
okay.
This is the reason why I'm confused, because it's like I think I'm an ENTP because like everyone says I'm SE, and I do say a lot of SE shit, which is funny. Like I do realize it looking back. But like growing up, like I was a really in my head person. Like I'm still not mechanically inclined, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. I feel like if I was more SE, I'd be less impulsive, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Wait, if you were SE, you would be less impulsive?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'd understand, like...
I think SC is more impulsive, though, because usually any users are tied with an FI or TI.
Yeah.
So that makes them, like, in my experience, research stuff before they actually do it, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know how to like explain so I'm impulsive as in like I'll say the wrong thing. Like I don't know. I feel like an ESTP like understands, like their FE is different, you know? I don't know. I feel like they're better in the moment, you know?
I wouldn't necessarily say that because they're all about acting on their gut reactions and like physical impulses, like in like present time.
Okay. All right.
So they are capable of being inappropriate.
I think ESTPs are so good at manipulating emotions, like FE emotions at least, like in a group setting.
Mm-hmm.
They can really mess with your head. Like, I don't know if it's just me, but in general.
Hold up. I'll be back.
If one of my brothers, I think he's an ESTP. If that's the case, then I would definitely agree with that because it kind of finds where the spot is that he figures out what he can say to make you like trust what he wants to do or that or not to like maybe judge him necessarily or maybe put him in a good light, even though that's not necessarily the case. He's perfectly okay with twisting and bending things in a way that's going to benefit him and not necessarily other people. So I could totally see that. He definitely has FE, the third slot for sure, because he works that shit like a tool. I think he's pretty good at it, almost to a fault. I'm like, am I dealing with a compulsive liar here? Because literally, like, everything he says, I'm like, I really have a hard time believing what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know. I just don't know what to believe.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah.
Eighth function. In my understanding, I'm still trying to figure out how exactly it manifests. But from my understanding, it's like this role that you have, that you feel like you have to be for society's sake, but you don't value it in your own you don't value it personally, but like you feel like that's the way you need to be for society, or like I don't know, the focus you need to put out there or make it look like that's for like society. But I guess I don't know really if that even makes sense, but that's kind of how I've heard it be explained, and that kind of makes sense to some degree.
It's a super ego.
Yeah. So, yeah. And that's also how, I guess, if you're not in touch with how you react with your ego or whatever, if you're not really in tune with being, or if you're not okay with being who you are,
mm-hmm.
you're going to put out that role function initially in a group setting or with a new person or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then as time goes on and you feel more comfortable, maybe you kind of let your hair down and the role function kind of goes away, and then you're seeing more of like the primary function, auxiliary and stuff come out more.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Because I don't know. I just like growing up, really in my head, and I don't know. I was weird as shit. Like, I used to read books a lot, like classic books, draw. And I was really impulsive in the sense like I'd be in class and like the teacher would say like, so if I was bored in class, I'd be drooling. But if the teacher said something cool, I'd be like, oh shit, man. Like I would just start yelling answers and shit. Like I think I cared more about mental stimulation because I was like really fat and shit and short, like awkward. I'm still awkward.
When did you get out of your fat phase?
High school.
High school, okay.
Same for me.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know, people keep saying like you're an ESTP, but I'm like, dude, I just started doing outsidey shit. Like I'm in love with it now. It's fucking cool and I like it. But I was like, I just started doing this shit like at like 14, 15 when I started tracking shit and like swimming.
Well, I mean, it's more about like physical sensations. I mean, eating can be just as well as an SE activity as running and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you like, I guess, the sensation of eating, or.
But I mean, like actually manipulating the outside world, you know?
Right.
But it's different functions, right? Because when you eat, it's an SE thing, but the feel
it's also SI.
You get is SI, right? It's SI indulgence when you eat, in a way.
Well, SI indulgence is like.
Could be food. It's like music, food. Could like a lot of different things, I guess. Like looking at fucking old pictures or something. I don't know. Different type, right? If it makes you feel something, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
For example, my mom is an ISFJ, so she's like really SI, and she loves cooking food that her mom used to make, right? That makes her feel really good.
Mm-hmm.
And she really emphasizes that, you know, like, oh, your grandma used to make this, blah, 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 you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's like really, it's really important so you can feel like kind of funny in a way that the SI is so strong, right? That everything they do is something that resembles something they used to do.
Yeah.
Like Eric said, if you heard, that he said that his mom she was more adventurous when she was younger, but then she got more closed when she got older, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's common for like SI doms to do that because they kind of get comfortable with what they have. Like maybe it's because they're nines or whatever, like preserving, right? Nines are preserving, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what I'm trying to figure out because it's like I feel like I mean, do you guys enjoy doing your 8th slot? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like,
If I?
Yeah. Like, do you feel like you understand it and like you're kind of in there? Like you go through phases where I don't know.
I wouldn't say I understand it. I value it in some way.
Yeah.
Like, the only example I have is FI regarding to like ENTPs, for example, because I have if function FI, right? So I value the personal relationships with people, whereas maybe an ENTP, you know, they only see it as like you have to get something out of it in order to be worth it, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well,
yeah, like, I can't even remember my point now.
yeah, I get it. That's what I'm saying. I understand. Like, it's like if I'm ESTP, right? That's cool. That's likely. But also, that means I also like NE, like a fuck ton, because obviously I'm here, you know? Reading, like, concepts and shit and all that. And so, you know, I got...
It could also tickle your TI as well.
Yeah, that's
Did
true.
you have a TI?
Understanding, yeah.
That's what I'm just trying to figure out because it's like I think the eighth function, and I think the key to understanding like what I am is like figuring out the inferior and the eighth, because I think you can get good at your eighth, or at least enjoy it in spurts. You know, like you don't value it, but you're just like you don't like. What's the word? It's not like a conscious value. I feel like it's just like you do it and you're like, oh shit, that was like I enjoyed that. Like you didn't even realize it that you're doing it. You know, like it's not a conscious effort to chase after it, but you understand it.
Yeah, for example, with the ISTPs or INTPs, the inferior FE is like really easy to recognize, right?
Yeah.
Because they for some reason INTPs already reach a point where FE doesn't matter, right? Because they get so
In their head.
irritated maybe by something somebody said, and then it kind of rolls over the FE and basically just goes full TINE. And
yeah, that's why I think it's like hard because I was trying to distinguish between like Neptune and like the INTPs and shit, because it's like almost as if INTPs are like kind of in their FI a lot, you know?
INTPs?
Yeah.
So
I think it depends on the tri type as well. I think because if an INTP has a lot of 4, they seem to be more FI-ish, whereas if you don't have any 4 as an INTP, it like maybe seem more superficial or more sciencey kind of.
Yeah.
Right?
So we could talk more about like, okay, so FI, what is it necessarily? Okay, so it's like an internal value system based on feeling, I guess. So how would that look for 8th slot? 8th slot FI. So would that be like something INTPs would like?
Yeah, so it's like I can't explain it, but it's like, okay, so you asked Spacey, right? You asked me like, okay, Kodo, how do you feel about your girlfriend, or how do you feel about blah blah blah? And I'll just like, I'm either gonna say a sarcastic comment, or like I'm gonna get like, you're either gonna get a really long pause because I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, oh shit, like I really
think it's awkward. FI is awkward, right?
Yeah,
Maybe.
but if you ask an INTP the same question, right? They are genuine. Like they can do it. Like they're not constantly, like they're not doing it all the time, FI, but it's not an awkward thing. It's like they can be comfortably in it. And like, yeah, well, I like my mom. Yeah, she's good, and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, they get an understanding of it. They just don't value it like deeply. It's not a conscious effort, but it's back there in their unconscious, and they can tap into it and be like, oh yeah, you know. I think that's the difference.
I mean, personally, I have a difficult time forming like judgments based on feeling and then imposing it on others. Like, and that's gotten me into trouble because sometimes it's like people want to know where they stand, you know?
Yeah.
But
That's
it's kind of like I fight against making judgments based solely on feeling, right? Which is what I feel that FI is most like, where FE is more, you know, because but that's like FE fighting FI. Right?
Yeah,
that's like wanting
the
to.
opposite.
So
but
FE's looking outwardly to figure out what's right, whereas FI is basing what's right off of how it resonates within themselves, like how they feel about it.
Right. But like because of FE, like I never want to impose that judgment that I might make internally on anyone else because that's gonna like fuck up the whole like